She is like the most productive presenter for us. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate this opportunity and this conference, which I deeply I'm passionate about. And I would like to share with you a study on using entrepreneurial ingenuity to create socially responsible innovations. I'm Anna Siqueira. I'm a professor of management in the Cosacos College of Business at William Patterson University, in proximity here to New York City. If we could go to the next page. And my purpose here is to share with you this perspective, entrepreneurial ingenuity, specifically for studying contexts that operate within constraints in alignment with the two previous presentations. And in this particular study, I used as my setting our constraint created by the pandemic, in which businesses had to change very fast. And at the same time, there were several restrictions within a structural or institutional context, such as limitations that were mandated for business operations. And I also focus on women-led ventures, navigating through this situation and creating opportunities and benefits, not only for their own organizations, but for other women entrepreneurs and those in the communities going through this institutional transformation. And my goal in this study was to unpack concepts from this perspective that could be helpful for other studies that are investigating entrepreneurship under constraints, and at the same time with a goal of integrating social responsibility as well. And I'm building on a publication from 2019 describing not only entrepreneurial ingenuity, the perspective, but also a specific concept that is framed as self-imposed ethical constraints, which will be voluntary ethical constraints deriving from social and or environmental responsibility based on values of the entrepreneur. If we could go to the next slide. And the key contributions that I seeking to generate with this study is that we can build on reports from our publicly available sources of how several business owners, and in my case, I'm looking at women-led ventures, were able to go through this process and redesign their products, services, and even create new ones to address the changes that they needed and at the same time benefit others through concepts specifically from this perspective. And the concepts that I am unpacking in the study include constraints, which are barriers to behavior, and they can take many forms. They can be in terms of resources, such as we had in our previous presentations, can be access to networks, gender expectations, so institutional resource, time, and then we also have the ethical one, which has this characteristics of being able to not only be enforced externally through regulations, but also being voluntarily adopted by entrepreneurs in order to create a business that benefit not only themselves, but communities, other stakeholders, environment. So this is a particularly important concept from this perspective that can be helpful for future research, and it can be also objective and subjective as well, such as the perception of resources, perception of the capability of the entrepreneur to pursue their dreams. Creativity is another concept and innovation that is part of this perspective as creativity, generation of ideas, and innovation, transforming them into products and services. And then we have the voluntary ethical standards labeled in the original study as self-imposed ethical constraints. And overall, the purpose of this study is to bring contributions for practitioners to use those concepts as a guide to help them build business models that already incorporate voluntary ethical constraints for benefiting themselves and others in the community, as well as for scholars, educators to build upon this perspective and concepts in their future studies. Thank you very much.